Philip, welcome. So nice to have you back. I know it's been a while, but during that time you have added another feather to your bow, or is it bow to a feather? Very English kind of thing. I lose track of it. And now you've got psychotherapy and counselling behind you.
That's right. Yes.
Which is absolutely fascinating.
It's amazing. It's been an amazing journey, not just from a point of view of helping and supporting others, but also from a point of view of my own growth and personhood.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you came from such a diverse background. It's almost like the dark side, and now you flipped into the light side.
In a way, yes. Perhaps darkness outlives. It's maybe necessary so the light can shine.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't know one piece, you can't do the other one. So today's podcast is a bit, out of the box because it's about grief and it's about death. And the fact that we only seem to see death in one particular element, which is the final breath that we take. But there are so many other deaths that we do on a daily basis. They could be little or they could be much bigger. So I thought it would be interesting to explore it, and also from a psychotherapy perspective, because there's just so many ways that people look at it. Like, when does the consciousness stop?
Yeah.
Is it just about the body? Is it about the spirit that continues?
Yes.
And culturally, there's just so many things that are, different to it. So now that you have done the psychotherapy, how has that changed the way that you look at it?
In a way, yes, absolutely. Because I used to always have this question from a very young age: what would it mean to be dead?
Really?
Yeah. And I would explore the concept mentally in my mind. And, now with this psychotherapeutic lens, especially the type of psychotherapy that I tend to do, which is process-oriented psychology,
Yep.
wherein everything happening in this moment, right here, right now, for example, is an ongoing process. It could be viewed from a perspective very much similar to the I Ching, where life, the action, the good, the bad, whatever you want to label, the light, the dark, it's all a process. And from that perspective, if you look at that, that is also an ongoing process. And so is life. There is no beginning or end. It is just an ongoing process.
Yeah.
And I feel like various traditions, perhaps, try to convey the same message differently.
I agree. Like the Tibetans are very much into that reincarnation.
Yeah.
Because the actual head of them happens to have been a previous monk.
Yes.
That reincarnates, and they find them at a very young age when they start to come through and actually pick what their choice were or particular memories that they had. They seem to have all this myriad of information, and that's how they know that, yes, it is them. And, over the time you have the near-death experiences that bring information back, but also you've got the little kids that come through and say, this is who I was in my previous life.
Yeah.
I read one about Marilyn Monroe, but then I also read one about the engineer who did the Titanic. And that was so fascinating. So, and I think that it's become more prevalent in today's society to actually talk about it. I don't know if we've got a morbid fascination with death, but so many people either love the topic or hate the topic.
I feel death as such in modern Western society is a topic that is avoidant, fearful.
Yes, exactly.
People just don't want to think about it not only about themselves, but also more importantly about not having a loved one around, so-called loved one. And you could say to a certain extent one of the reasons for that is this lack of initial comprehension of this ongoing vastness of life in general, the vastness of the universe in general. And they not to put the Christian world in context, but in spotlight rather, but this sense that, once you die, you're going to be judged on heaven and hell. The whole polarity.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the life we live in my opinion, this dimension is very much a world of polarity, and you have to make peace with that. But then at the same time, taking the same concept and applying it to a higher realm once you pass away, heaven or hell, with the intention of control.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guilt and control. That's the way that I see it. You have to be a good person. In order for you to be a good person, you've got to do A, B, C, and D. Anything. You set up all these rules.
Yes.
A human.
That's true. I know why I call it the dark trinity of control, guilt, and shame.
Yes.
And how is that, in many ways, ingrained in the psyche of an individual? So they do say in their life within a certain framework to not expand beyond their true capacity.
I think it's like generationally, we're like an onion.
Yep.
This is our core. And then all the other generations just seem to have put another layer, another layer, another layer, and another layer. And as we traverse this life, we just try to peel them off, the ones that don't serve us.
Yes.
And it's always very hard getting to the core.
Yes, because it's a lot of that analogy just used because it's like when you peel an onion, you have tears. Right?
That is so true. Most people cry over onion peeling, cutting.
It's just the same way. We want to unpeel those layers and get to that core that you're talking about. There is trial and tribulation.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I love it. Don't be like an onion. You don't have to cry. It's fine. Let's face it. A lot of people, we use the word death, very off the cuff. That person's dead to me. Or that topic is so overdone, we're not going over there. It's dead. We'll move on to this project, or we'll do this or do that. Now, Christmas is coming.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people out there that are of a certain age or have got particular illnesses. And it's like, we have to spend all this Christmas together. We all have to get together. It's probably their last Christmas. We have to share it. And it seems to be that we wait until that 11th hour to realise what we have while they're still here on an everyday basis. And then when they die, the way that I see it for me is that I'm selfish. Like my mother, this will be my third Christmas without her. And she was the paste. So everybody, all the honey, and everybody gathered towards her. And there were certain things that you had to do, but now it's not there. But I know she's here. I put things down and they move. And I hear things and I think, all right, what do you want now? It's like, but it's the fact that we can't pick up the phone and talk to them or get a hug from them or, some of the crass jokes that were like, oh my God, how could you say that?
Yeah.
The dimension that we can't see that is still here with us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when we find people, it's like you start this conversation, they become family even before you knew them because there seems to be this connection. And you can't tell me it's from this lifetime.
Yeah.
It's from all the people that we have traversed with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you bring a very good point of all these people we are first with, because there's definitely a sense of interconnectedness. I think so. Those Jung who tried to point out the fact that when we see something in another person that we don't like, and we don't, that is not me. Dig deeper, because that is a part of you. And it is only because perhaps it is or was, or there's a seed of it in a part of you that you recognize it.
Yeah. Well, I don't like that. That's definitely not me. And you think, hold on, you're up.
But it also brings into question this nature of reality, because we can't talk about that without exploring the nature of reality. And this dreaming, First Nations people in Australia talk a lot about through their teachings and ancestors about the idea of dreaming. The world has been constantly dreamed up. Dreamed up by you, dreamed up by me, dreamed up by the collective, dreamed up perhaps even by the stable.
Well, if we put this table through an electron microscope, it'll be just molecules that are spread everywhere. So nothing is really solid.
Yeah. And it's all a field. It's all a vibration. Our thoughts are a vibration. Our intentions are a vibration. And all that, they're collaborating together to create unique realities is fascinating. At least in my world.
It is, but once we create it, why do we hang on to it so tight? Does that mean that if we lose that part of our reality or that part of what we have done, that we're no longer us? There's this huge construct.
Yes.
I mean, I must have this table, or I must have this, or I must have that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've done so many things. I've done this, and I've done that. And then people say, oh, you must be this kind of a person. So I'll spend time with you. And you think, why don't you just spend time with me? Because I'm a human. I'm a human that wants to do things out of love and from a place to benefit others rather than from, interact with me because of my social status or because of who I know or what I am.
It's easy to get carried away with identity, especially in today's day and age of social media. Because the more you can identify with something, the greater is that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
But I would say a superficial belonging, but nevertheless it is a belonging. And looking at it from a perspective of coming back to that, seed of darkness, which I was talking about, in every human being, which can sprout in a way to show the light, and the light can show the darkness. I feel that is the default by whatever creator or creation or process that is formulated, this thing called humankind or human being. And therein lies the mystery, which perhaps can be resolved in that.
But why do we have to wait till then? I mean, so many people are scared to, it's normally kids and parents' relationship, to have a discussion with their parents. This is the kind of life I want to have. This is what I want to do. Like, I was terrified, literally, to tell my father that I would shift out of home. The only way I could shift out of home is if I was married. Right? In today's age, that doesn't happen. But it's taken all these other generations to start kicking up a fuss, to say, I'm not going to do it. So we build the onion. And then the problem is that because we're not true to ourselves, and if we don't realise that before we die, or, we're leading a life that belongs to someone else because it's been their idea. And then when we get to the end, it's like, why didn't I do this? What? I would have loved to have done this or have done that. And so the regrets come in because they haven't lived their true self,
Yeah.
their authentic self.
Yes, that is one perspective of looking at it.
Mm.
And I feel like this is where, the concept of process-oriented psychology for me, which I do, anything that happens is just happening.
Yeah.
So whether it be a situation that you described, or whether it be a situation wherein all these things are happening for me versus to me,
You externally.
yeah,
Right.
as a means to unpeel not just the onion,
Mm.
but build perhaps something that is a higher self
Mm.
or a higher consciousness, or in process-oriented psychology we tend to use the term the meta communicator, the detached self.
Mm.
So you're right in many ways that we onboard all these different beliefs and values from our parents, from our friends, family, neighbors, society. And in today's day and age, it is even more complicated, and there's a term called intersectionality, because it's not only your immediate influences, it is also the influences in the World Wide Web
Oh, yeah.
that plays such a massive role in defining this thing called identity.
Mm. And it's only been around for 20 years.
That's right.
It's like, but it's taken over our lives, the way that we do business, the way that we have a social life, the way that we interact with people. But it also has its upsides.
Yeah.
Like, without the way that we are now, because my daughter lives overseas, my granddaughter wouldn't have known who I was. She wouldn't have recognised my face and my voice. And once she saw me, it was like, oh yeah, I know who you are. It's a bit weird because you're not flat, but apart from that. But I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross did a whole lot of studies on death and dying. And she found that the biggest problem, because she would go to hospices because of background in psychology, was that people were not allowed to talk about it. Nobody wanted to talk about death. It was like, oh no, it's okay, you're not dying, we're just in a different room.
Yeah.
And so the people that were going through it didn't have the ability to tell someone how much they loved them, or to, clear the space or clear the area.
Yeah.
And have that kind of, oh yeah, I'm happy now. So it's not about venting and telling people how awful they are. It's about listening to them.
Yeah, I agree. For some reason, as you talk about that, I'm reminded of funerals that I've been to, from my own family, but also some of my friends and stuff along those lines. And for me, in that moment, looking at the dead corpse, the dead body out there, I have always seen a slight smirk or smile on the face of the individual. I don't know why.
They think I'm there.
And not that made me laugh or anything along those lines, but it definitely brought a sense of curiosity to me. That it's like a knowingness in that smile, but silence and presence.
Because I mean, some people would see it as a nervous laughter because you don't know how to take their passing.
Yeah.
That it makes you nervous, and so therefore you mask those feelings through laughter.
Yes, possible. But what I'm talking about here is that smirk or smile that I see on the dead person's face. So it's funny you say that, because is the dead person here masking something?
I would assume correctly or incorrectly, that once we die, it's like that peaceful, eternal love, that it's a welcome home. So, and there's nothing else that you have to do. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to, pay bills, and there is acceptance. Doesn't matter what you do, you're accepted because there is no no's.
Yeah.
There is just that knowing. And I think so many of us want to escape the world because maybe we still remember what it was like to be there. And to be here is just such a struggle and such daily work and dramas.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I doing this? What is the point? It's like, Groundhog Day. We get up and we do the same thing. There may be some differences. So, yeah. So really, is it a knowing, or do you think it's a relief? Is it from our perspective because of all the things that we've been taught and the onions that we've been put on, that it's the way that we act or react?
Yeah, I mean, it could be any one of them and all of the above, I would say. I come back to that aspect of dreaming and creating that sense of reality.
Yeah.
And therefore, whatever be the case, and sometimes people go down that path of, in a way, not acknowledging the beauty in that, but going down the path of that sense of having to grieve the loss. But the loss of what? Or the loss of who? The loss of not having that person. Yes, exactly. So they are there for me. Or is it the genuine loss of the other person? Just like that. And that's a big question, right? Because, if you look at it from a relationship dynamic perspective, some people have transactional relationships all through their life. And then that grieving, what is that grieving about? Is the grieving just about the transaction that will be missed through that individual? And then the moment that transactional need can be met through another, the grieving disappears.
Yeah.
Or other people where there's a codependent form of relationship. It's a different story.
Yeah.
When the codependency is met, the grieving perhaps. And for other people, perhaps it's a bit deeper. I think it's there is a karmic connection and also felt link that people have carried for generations together, and this connection. And so I think so a lot of research has also been done where it shows that people who have lived a life together for a long time, especially couples, if one passes away, sooner or later, in due time, the other one has a basic indication that, it's my time.
Yeah, there seems to be that time frame of 18 months.
Absolutely.
It's either that short period or they continue. I remember one of my friends' parents, they'd been married 60-something years, and the husband lived on for another 20 years, I'd say, or more. And the beginning was really difficult for him because there was such a team. Like, he would peel the carrots and cut the carrots, and then she would cook the carrots. So he said, well, I've done my bit. What do I do now?
Yeah.
So it was a death not only of the person, but of his lifestyle, the way that he did things, how he did things. And so there was another half of him that he had to learn how to do and how to cope by himself. I mean, it's interesting that you spoke of codependencies. This is a classic example of codependence. And other people, like one of my girlfriends passed away, and her daughter was like her best friend. So they did everything together. They went everywhere together, and the daughter's friends were through the mother. And so once the mother passed, it wasn't only the passing of the mother, but it was all her social interactions, her friendships, because the friendships were for the mother.
Yeah.
And so their interaction was different to the interactions to the daughter.
I'm curious to know if you're comfortable sharing this. This daughter that you're talking about, was she in an intimate relationship with anyone else?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. And this is where, it comes back. It's such a beautiful example you bring out here, because Jung talks about the concept of the devouring mother, not to say that this is a devouring mother, but the mother that holds on to the child, to the point where the child needs the mother.
100%.
Yeah. And never ever gets to that stage of growing through and budding to become the flower. And it's the loss of friendship, perhaps is also a representation of the loss of the mother in a way. And she was with her daughter, perhaps just meeting a sense of need.
Yes, on both ends.
On both ends.
Yes.
So it's like this trauma transference or trauma gifting, or whatever you want to call it, to the other.
The gift that keeps on giving.
That keeps on giving now. It's up to the daughter to heal herself, but perhaps intergenerationally, it's an opportunity for this daughter, if she ever gets into a relationship, if she ever grows past the fact that the mother is, no more, and her friends, whatever the relationship is now, she needs to grow apart and individuate her own self.
Yes. Just to find who she is.
Yes.
That's the long and the short. Now, she has since then gone into a relationship. We'll see how long it lasts for, whether it's the right relationship or not. She has been in therapy. I don't know how much it's actually assisting or not assisting. I find that a lot of therapists are all about, come back next week.
Yeah.
Come back next week. It's not about giving them the tools to actually say, okay, well, these are the tools, see how they work for you. If not, we can discuss and we can give you other tools. It almost seems to be like they enjoy the same dialogue because it gives them that sense of, I don't know if it's being stuck or comfort, but they've got the ability to talk to someone about what they're feeling rather than trying to work through it.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah.
And becoming self-loving so that they can accept.
Yeah. Well, a lot of therapy, talk therapy is beautiful. Like it helps you, but there comes a point where through the engagement of talk therapy, when we're engaging right now, for example, we are giving out signals.
Yeah.
And when someone is talking about something a bit more deeper, whatever that rumination, for lack of another word, is, in that process of engaging, there is a therapist's role out there to pick up and facilitate that aspect of could call energetic unease in the person, or perhaps something really worthwhile to explore.
Yes.
Because as human beings, we are fantastic manipulators. And I think so we all manipulate without realizing that we're doing it. And coping, to a great extent, is a manipulative technique, in my honest opinion, but a manipulative technique used on self to not engage with something that is truly the core of your essence that needs to be engaged with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like I don't want to open the wound, so therefore I'm not going to go there. And if I'm not going to go there, I mean, I don't have to relieve the trauma. I have to understand that there is something there and bring some love and nurturing and seeing a different way of being in the world rather than that way. But, so that makes it really interesting. But the problem is that we find it difficult to move on, right? And what I was thinking about is that near-death experiences, a lot of people may have had a very different life, like they may have done drugs or they may have been introverts or, a gamut of different things. And then once they've had this near-death experience, they come out the other end in a very different way. So Dr. David Hawkins, he had a near-death experience as a teenager. And I'm pretty sure that he was absolutely dead when his father found him because it was below I don't know how many degrees. And he said that the only reason he came back because he could feel the love and anguish that his father felt. And so he came back. But in the 50s, who were you going to talk to? It would have been such a foreign concept that it would not have been discussed. So moving forward, he did the typical human thing. He buried himself in his schooling, he excelled in his schooling, he became a psychiatrist. He delved into the world of work, so everything was about work. And so then in his 40s became really sick. And as he gets sicker and sicker, the doctors can't do anything for him, he starts to pray. And I guess he remembered what happened, the experience, the love, the incredible emotional freedom and, and complete emotional love that he felt through his NDE. So when he came back, because he healed, like it was almost one of those miracles that we call. And then he found it really hard to be in the world. He said, there was this amazing thing that happens when you die. It's like everybody loves you and there is no animosity and there is this freedom and high vibrational frequencies. It's like, why do I want to do this 3D thing again? And it's like, I don't want to eat. I'm quite happy just to sit here and meditate and do very little of anything because I'm in bliss. So you have a choice. Am I going to feed the body to stay here and maybe teach others how amazing they really are and what they can do while they're here? Or am I going to say, I'm done, I'm going now?
And that's such a good point, right? And, as we're talking about that, it really highlights to me the importance of looking at the body as a vessel. And, many traditions talk about the body as a shell, a vessel. The Egyptians talk about it and stuff like that. And that shell has to be nourished. It has to be nourished, and that's where, taking care of your body, eating healthy, exercising, staying active, because we don't live a very active lifestyle when it comes to our vocation. We don't have to hunt for food or gather food and none of that stuff happens. And when we start looking at the body as this container that is holding within you the capacity, I use the word capacity, I think that is a good start to really starting to dwell into what afterlife. Now, I'm not talking about the body, the physical body, because some people can exercise and take care of themselves in extreme ways, but it is all physical, right? It is the physical body, and that's it. When I'm dead, I'm gone. So I might as well take care of myself, live the best life, experience the best desires, which is nothing wrong about. But that's it.
Leave a great corpse behind it.
Yeah, a little great corpse behind. And so the body, from that angle, is not a container. The body is the be all.
Yes.
Full stop.
I am because I do.
Yeah, and that way of life in this day and age has, in a way, created this sense of aloneness, even though you're surrounded by so many people.
That's true. The secret age.
Yeah. Hopefully, in the first podcast was starting to talk about all these different energies and stuff like that. But I do believe that humanity is to a bit of an external influence to not just on the life, right?
I mean, it's interesting because a lot of the people that do horoscopes and also look at the different planetary alignments and how there is these energetic changes that are happening. And when they talk about it, they say, oh, it's about the air and it's about this and it's about that. And then all of a sudden you get these airplane tragedy where it just went down. And you think, they've already told us that because of everything that's happening, that's going to happen. And the one that's also interesting is solar flares and how that's disrupting and how that is actually beneficial to us because it increases our energy. And so you've got these different camps, like the 3AI Atlas, same thing. Oh, it's a spaceship, they're coming together. No, it's coming to change the energy of the Earth. So it's going to be really close to the Earth around the 19th of December. And the issue is that many people have said how there is an energetic upheaval, but they don't necessarily recall it. That they say, oh, it's just so stressful, it's so changing, I'm up, then I'm down, and they've been very straight people up until now. They're very left brain and they think a lot and they've got different kinds of jobs that they do, but it's always been very constant. You get up in the morning, you know exactly what you're doing and what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden it isn't. This is happening, and everything's coming left field and right field, and you don't know which way to duck anymore. Then it settles down for at least 5 minutes, and then it's up again. So it's been, for me, it's been like crazy. Like I was crying the other day. And if ever my children saw me crying, they said, oh my God, the world's going to end. Mom doesn't cry. It was like, I've had enough. Leave me alone. I have to go meditate. So it's been just so dynamic that. So it'll be interesting to see how we finish the year and how we start the year. And it's been like so many crazy things happening, like Bondi. Australia is not that kind of a place. What is happening? I mean, we're all one planet. We're all one humanity. I don't care where you come from, whether you're male, you're a female. Neither male nor female energies can go one above the other. It's all about one energy supporting the other energy.
Yeah, it's complementary.
Absolutely. And we've been taught that it's got to be, you have to be better than someone else. It's all about competition. It's not about assisting. And, so for the betterment of this world that we live in, because let's face it, we're all on this earth. And if we don't look after this earth, in a much more caring and loving way, we've got nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how many civilizations there have been that the Earth has, in its own unique way, destroyed and then created again. But I'm sure there have been. It's just that we lack the so-called tangible empirical evidence to prove it, other than look at it from a evolutionary perspective, where we like to chronologically put these civilizations in the past as civilizations that were not at a level of advancement to what we were or we are. And who's to say it? A place like Atlantis wasn't technologically advanced, and there came a point for whatever reason is, in the wisdom decided to, okay, goodbye, we're going to do something new.
I mean, they say there are portals all over the world, but that's a completely different topic. But I mean, it's just, we need to, I think, have different way of discussing and talking about things. Because death seems to be so final and the grieving. And we've been given the different 5 stages, like denial, anger.
Yeah.
And eventually we get down to, okay.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah, the acceptance, thank you. I mean, we're human. We go through those emotions. Shifting house is also a death.
Yeah.
Because you've got all your friends or all your familiars surrounded.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm glad you bring that up, because often when we talk about death, we tend to look at it from a point of view of the loss of an individual, someone near and dear, or a friend,
Yes.
or an individual or a stranger that you don't know. Death. But death is constantly happening. Like every day, there are millions, if not trillions, of cells that are dying.
Yes.
In our very own bodies, and you have new cells being given birth to. So that process of death is innate.
Yes.
It is innate.
Yeah, 100%.
And the rebirth is also an innate process.
Yeah, it's very true.
So,
it's a very good point, Mike.
When we talk about death from a purely macroscopic level, it's a bit unfair, because death is constantly happening around us. Just bring awareness to it.
Yeah.
And once we do that, in whatever shape or form, it allows the grieving process at a macroscopic level to become more acceptable or easier or smoother to navigate.
Yeah.
I often find it so very concerning, wherein sometimes people with a strong attachment to their siblings or attachment to the parents, constantly, that they wouldn't want to touch upon the concept, what happens tomorrow if you wake up and they're not there? Yeah. That upheaval. But start preparing. Start preparing. And, that's what I always say, start preparing for that. Not only all of them, but also how would you navigate the death of another.
It's interesting because it's not only the death of another, it's the death of the life that we know. So whether it's a physical death that changes our life, or whether it's what our life, what it's like. I mean, what comes to mind is one of my girlfriends. Like, They were living in a home, had 3 bedrooms, and then they decided they would renovate. And her husband was doing a lot of the renovations. She became depressed. I mean, depressed is one of the 5 stages that we go to for grieving. Now, it just perplexed me. She was getting this gorgeous house.
Yeah.
Much more room. I mean, they were doing such elaborate things. It looked absolutely stunning. The only thing she could focus on was the fact that it had upended her life and how dirty and dusty everything was. She couldn't see beyond that. So she became so anxious and depressed that she was on antidepressants.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially when we talk about depression, because depression, in a way, you could consider it as the death of the soul, the living soul, still alive. But just there is no spark or life in that vital force into the need to live through the container. And there's fair bit of neurological research, depression, sadness has a drive towards connection. I'm not sure what's the background of that, because it seems to me that obviously there was something beautiful happening out there, changing the house.
Yeah.
But also there was some form of connection that was being disrupted.
I think it was more than that. I think it's, you've got a lifestyle. You come, you go, you take the kids to school, you've got friends over, you entertain, and then all of a sudden you can't entertain.
Yeah.
Because everything has been disrupted.
Yeah.
And in order for you to entertain, you've got to do all this more work to get to the same place.
Yes.
And it's an inconvenience.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I just thought, maybe I was completely wrong, that it was very shallow of her.
Yeah.
To think so narrowly about what was happening.
Yeah.
But then, because we don't know what layers we're peeling and which onion we ended up with, as to where our traumas have come from, that seem to have given us that loss of self.
Yeah. I find it interesting you mentioned the word entertain. When we entertain people, it's Christmas. When we entertain people, what is the sense that we derive from it? Is it linked to connection?
Yeah, everything seems to go back to the fact that we want to be connected with people.
Yeah.
But is that connection become who we are? Or is that connection because we cherish the person and we want to spend time with them?
Well, that is where, it's such a good point you make, because, trauma can be underlying. And I don't want to look at this from a trauma lens perspective because I don't know what's really the story done. But sometimes when we use avenues to cope, and this is where I was talking about coping when I mentioned about coping earlier, and coping alone is a means to engage and makes you happy, it gives you that sense of connection, fair enough. Yeah. But is it really... Is that connection that is being derived really getting into the deeper facets of the core of the onion? Because perhaps out there is something deeper with development, with her growing up as a child, experiencing something, developing a sense of a world view in a way. At a very early age, with the trauma getting ingrained into the primary identity of the person, consensus reality, and they become that. So trauma seeping into personality. And that can be tricky to work with because a lot of people wherein trauma seeps into personality and primary identity, and it becomes a strong, this is the way, this is what I need, the driver, right? And especially if they are used to getting what they want, right?
I think that you've hit the nail on the head. She was like the princess.
That's right.
So everything
Yeah,
was there. And not only that everything was there, it was now.
correct. Right. Uh, that's where, in a way, working with that aspect is where the healing resides. Working with the feelings, the sensations, getting deep in. And you could say that's often a lot of this sense of getting, what I want straight away, and can also have to do with repressed anger. Because if we don't get what we want, and we are unable to express our anger and we suppress it,
Oh, yes.
that anger is internalized in a way, and generalized
Yeah.
on self.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what happens when we do that?
Oh, we have such turmoil and confusion. We shut down.
What happens
because
when we
it's
yell
too
at the
much.
child? Anger. We internalize that. And the cycle continues.
We'll have another little day. It's okay. We've run out of water. Oh no, my glass is empty. Oh, is that another death?
Perhaps it is.
So, I guess there's just so many cultural things, Some people look at death as, the ability to get to a higher realm, to go home. Others see death as something completely final. But as we said, we forget about the little deaths. And they're not deaths. I mean, they said the three major causes for people getting depressed is breakdown of a relationship, whether it's a divorce or whatever else, moving of house, and the life of me, I can't remember the third one. But, it's the big things that we're doing now that a lot of people become depressed about because it's a death of who they were. And I wonder if that's why a lot of people die so soon after retiring. Is it that who they were is no longer valid or no longer there? And so it's like, who am I?
Yeah. I mean, the core primary identity of the individual is taken away. And with an identity comes along the process of that identity in your day-to-day life. So if you are an accountant, as an example, you have this certain air about you wherein people are coming to you to meet a certain need that you believe is foundational to whatever, living a proper life, doing taxes or money or saving people, getting a better refund from the government or whatever, but if someone's been doing that day in, day out, day in, day out, and that is their life for the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years, absolutely, taking that away. We like to talk about midlife crisis.
Oh, yeah.
We can also have an identity crisis, especially when someone's profession is so strongly ingrained in their psychology. I always try and tell myself, when I'm at home, not to be the therapist. And sometimes just doing the Souza things, but just...
How's that working for you?
It's work in progress.
I bet. So, yeah. So it'd be interesting to know what people are like when they retire, whether that is their thing. Now, I have not looked at the stats, whether it's more likely that a male will die versus a female will die, because, let's face it, being a female, life is forever changing. Like, all of it, especially if you have kids, and that, that's another death of self. And it's like, get over yourself, you've only had a kid. It's like, there is this other incredible small human that is living, because not only that you gave them life, but it's the fact that you continue nurturing and nourishing and they continue. And does that make it easier? But we've had so many upheavals in our life that we just roll with the punches. So when it comes to dying, literally dying with the physical body, that it's like, oh, it's just another thing, it's a detail. Do we look at it differently? I mean, quantum physics has been around for 100 years. Are they any closer? Who knows? They've got more questions, I think, than what they began.
Yeah, and I feel it's very important to also have a distinction between, when we talk about topics like quantum physics and so on. Because a lot of quantum physics and physics, and a lot, even in the biological world and mental health, these are theories.
Yeah.
It's very much like, we know the application of electricity, right? But really early to this day and age, you don't know how what is electricity and how it really functions at a nitty-gritty level. It's not just a flow of electrons, it's more of it. Coming with that lens to the concept of death is so very important. Whether we look at it from a philosophical perspective, when we look at it from a quantum physics perspective, or whether you look at it from a holistic perspective, we are combining all these different worlds and ideas as a means to comprehend what is truly potential more than anything else. I've always had the saying, like, that is such a fascinating topic to ponder about. But the only way to really know is being dead. And if I don't know after I'm dead, it wouldn't hopefully bother me.
But until next time.
No.
I mean, it's just so true. I mean, let's face it, the only way that people learned about the brain was through trauma. Was knowing where the brain was traumatized and what the aftermath was, so that they knew which part of the brain did what. But up until then, it was like cells die, and once your brain cells die, that's it. You're going to become dumber. And it's like today, no, not really. You can keep creating new brain cells up until the day you die. So you can get new neurological connections, just like when you strip a vein. You strip the vein, and the body will create new pathways to get the blood down there, down to your toes. So is there a death? So regardless of how people see it in terms of a cultural, whether it's through trauma, whether it's through being scared, whether it's through loss, we're all going to end up there. So it's, what are we going to do while we're here?
Yes.
How are we going to cope with it? If a friend is dying, are we going to be there to support them, or a parent, and be, I guess it's not the best person, but it's nourishing them and nurturing them through love rather than fear and what am I missing out on? What happens when you die? What happens to me? So that we can be more humane.
Yeah.
But more humane in everything we do, not just when someone dies. It's like, oh, Mother's Day is coming. Well, I better go and make an appointment to see Mum because I haven't seen her for the past 364 days.
Yeah.
You know? And it's that continuity. So do you think that now that you've done the transpersonal and the psychotherapy counselling, that you've actually changed the way that you approach a person?
I would say I haven't changed, but I would prefer the word taking it a notch up in terms of evolving, not to a point, but as an ongoing change. And what I mean by that is to look at every individual from their worldview. So if you're talking about grief, for example, or associated with that, looking at grief as a means to integrate something within the individual or facilitate the integration within that individual from the point of view of their reality. So if there is someone who, for whatever reason, has that belief in heaven and hell. That is their path towards integrating. Maybe it is also a path for them to evolve into a new way of looking at something. But it is the client that decides that environment.
Yes.
So someone comes to me with a very strong Christian concept
Mm.
determination. Yeah, let's take them through that process because of the Holy Spirit or Jesus is their foundation. Let's build upon, but build upon it in a way where there is room for the individual to look beyond their existing place.
Mm.
They choose to build upon it because that gives the individual meaning to move forward and not end. A lot of belief is to a certain extent about that sense of end.
Mm.
The loss is an end. So the interpretation of that loss is grief experienced differently by different people.
It's very good. It's the fact that you're saying it's an ongoing thing. Like, we don't die from high school, we finish high school.
Yeah.
So maybe our speech and thinking need to change, that we have finished with that stage, but that stage has made us also who we are.
Now, it's a completely different story if someone, staying with a Christian theme, because it is Christmas. It's a completely different story. Someone comes to you and they've lost someone and they know that this person has been such an evil person, but still are grieving for them for whatever reason. So that can be, the grief in itself can be an edge for the individual to explore. And what I mean by that is, when we talk about an engine process oriented psychology, you have a secondary process, which is very much the underlying beliefs and signals that you're giving out constantly.
Yeah.
You can call it the unconscious, but the unconscious is a part and parcel of the secondary process. And then you have the primary process, which is the identity. This person is grieving. So what's the essence behind that grieving? Well, what is that grieving wanting to bring forth into your primary identity that has been, denied, suppressed, rejected? Maybe
Very interesting.
the individual really wants to, best out with all they have ever wanted to tell this person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're angry because they didn't get the way.
that's right.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Why do we have to make it so complicated? Why do we have to put so many labels on things? I mean, it's a passing phase. So are we not better off being happy by being here and just having an experience without having to hang such heaviness to everything?
Mm.
Being so traumatic and dramatic about it.
That's a beautiful question. And why do we have to do that? I feel like sometimes there's so many different angles to this, right? Because does chaos, in a way, feed progress? Does we talk about interdimensional beings and stuff like that? Are we influenced by that in a way to create a sense of non-peace energy that is feeding something? Oh no, just saying.
I mean, it's never ending.
Yeah. I guess the bottom line comes to the fact that to look at everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Good movie.
Yeah, fantastic. Has an unfolding of your own unique path.
It's very interesting, isn't it? The thing is, we're never going to to be able to wrap up grief and death in a nice, tiny package. It's just the ability to people to become aware of the fact that grieving and death is not necessarily the body's death, but there are so many little deaths that we have, and it's the way that we deal with them that allows us to make the changes and the way that we sit comfortably to live another day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's something that's just popped in my mind, and this is a question. Can grieving also, for someone's loss, result from a sense of guilt?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't think of it that way, but yes. But there's also a sense of relief when some people die.
That's right.
I mean, it sounds terrible, but I was relieved when my mum died. And I loved him to bits. He had his own demons. And I guess it's something that I didn't have to deal with because it was just too hard. And so therefore I thought, yes, now I can do whatever I want because, the obstacle is not there. And again, it's the way that I perceived it. Maybe not the way that he would have perceived it. But I think that my thinking was, the feedback that I would get if I tried to deviate from the way that he expected, then you'd be met with like, oh, that's not what you do, that's not. That removal of love or acceptance as a result of the deviation. So how would you wrap this thing up as someone from a psychotherapy counselling perspective? What would you tell them?
I'd probably tell them the very same thing which I started. There is no beginning or end. It's all a process. Yes, we can choose to have a beginning or end because it gives us again a sense of identity and meaning through religion or through spiritual practices or whatever you want to label it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is beautiful. But the question which I bring forward is bringing you peace.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
And if it does not bring that inner sense of centeredness, which is allowing, which is flow, take a small step to explore.
Very nice. Well, thank you for the time you've taken. It's been very interesting as always. We've gone through many rabbit holes, as always. But basically what it comes down to is be happy. You've got today, be happy, grateful of all those that are around you. And the best gift that you can give anyone is the gift of happiness. Because let's face it, when we have children, we have parents. What we hope and wish is for them to be happy. Everything just falls by the wayside.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.